Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lost in Translation Mon. This time we'll be covering Digimon Ghost Game, episode 53, King of Knowledge. I'm May, and I'm joined by the creaking door and the party that someone's having on a random Sunday in late November for some reason. So Quinn and Chloe are recording separately from me as I had stuff on today. But do not worry, for I will edit in their recording in Quinn, Chloe, quick comments. That's what the section called. It's almost like I have it written down in front of my face. Because I do, and I still somehow forgot what it was called. And I'm the one who named it. But anyway, so once I do the synopsis before I get into my own discussion, I will pass on to their recording. So in any case, synopsis for this week, as expected, we got another... hey, this character can warp evolve to perfect, despite the fact we kind of already assumed as much, and we actually had Thetismon at the end of the previous episode. So, we got a Kiyoshiro and Jellymon episode. Kiyoshiro in this episode is absolutely addicted to getting knowledge from this knowledge game with this unknown entity. This game is that the unknown entity asks a question, and if Kiyoshiro gets the question right, he gets a little bit of the unknown entity's knowledge. Then the next night, we have the Kiyoshiro asking the unknown entity a question, and the unknown entity getting it right, and then Kiyoshiro having to give part of his knowledge to this unknown entity, and then this keeps on going on, and as it goes on, Kiyoshiro starts to forget the people in his dorm, and even the Digimon, and of course Ruli as well, who isn't in the dorm, but he also forgets her, so he forgets all these people that he previously knew. The other characters follow him one night, and find out that this Mon of the Week is Balmon, which is a surprise, because I, for some reason, thought it could be Wisemon because of the book. So then we have the characters asking Balmon some random questions that are more like trivia rather than just general knowledge or science-related questions. Questions that aren't immediately obvious and that are only obvious to the person that's asking them. So real hard questions, like we have Gammon asking about chocolate, we have Ruli asking about taking photos in specific locations, and Goromon is asking about some swordsman tips and tricks. So they're ones that are really kind of unique to that character. So that's how we get Kiyoshiro to have his knowledge back. And then of course, Kiyoshiro is able to warp evolve Jellymon to Thetismon, as we kind of expected this to be an episode where we learn that that functionality is also true for Kiyoshiro, like it was true for Hiro, like it was true for Ruli. And yeah, then the episode ends, but we find out that the ghosts or slash spirits that were helping out Balmon were actually possibly just ghosts. So we finally got that, but the ghosts were real kind of twist that I've been wanting this whole series. So I'm pretty happy about that. And now that I'm done with my synopsis, we'll move on to Quinn, Chloe, quick comments.
Hello.
Hi.
It's been a minute since we've done separate recordings, so I don't remember how we intro these.
I can't remember.
So this was episode 52, King of Knowledge.
Wait, is this episode 52 or 53? I don't think I updated the number properly.
You might... Okay.
I didn't update the number properly. It's episode 53, King of Knowledge.
Alright.
Sorry. So Quinn, tell me, what did you like about this episode?
Give
me your highlights.
The knowledge game was a neat concept for all that we really didn't do much with it, but God, I love it. It's existentially terrifying. You can absolutely see yourself getting pulled into, like, being able to get answers to all of the world's questions, but also slowly losing... that was super evocative, and I loved the idea.
Yeah, it was cool. On a much less, analyzing the episode note, I love how much of a weeb Kiyoshiro is, despite
really
being
is.
Japanese. It's so good.
He decided to come back to Japan because of his favorite fox girl mecha anime?
Something like that, yeah.
That he also donated a shrine for? God,
something like that, yeah.
What a terrible Chekhov's ridiculous crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you kind of touched on it briefly before, but I'm all about the horror of real life episodes, and so doing the whole the real monster is addiction thing is neat. I was for it.
Yeah. I have some criticisms for some of the way they did it, but I love that idea.
Another thing that I thought was kind of nice was that given the nature of the conflict, there wasn't really that much in the way of action sequences. So the animators just kind of had fun with doing whatever the hell they wanted, it seemed like, this episode.
They sure did.
There was just a lot of weird visual styles going on and stuff like that. It was fun.
Yeah. On that note, Balmon was a really cool, good design. I don't believe Balmon is new, but is not one I've seen all that often in the anime, at least. And yeah, that was good. I will say, I kind of wish that the evil book, instead of being Balmon, were just an evil book that wanted to suck knowledge out of people. That would have been cool.
And apparently knows how to make real ghosts.
Yeah,
which is another one of my highlights, is that, I've been asking for it for a while, so I'm glad that we kind of did a real ghosts episode kind of thing.
Yep.
Those were real ghosts that got Kiyoshiro out of his room, apparently.
Evidently.
So yeah, that was neat.
Uh-huh.
And then the last thing that I really liked about this episode was that, if I remember right, last week we'd speculated that, so Hiro gets to be the hero of his Warp Evolution episode, but Ruli, being the damsel in distress, has to, be saved or whatever, and, all that jazz. And we had suspected that Kiyoshiro would, be firmly the hero of his Warp Evolution episode. And so I was glad that, no, instead Kiyoshiro more or less hit rock bottom and had to, have everyone else help him out, which was neat.
Yeah, that was a good concept.
Yeah, it was a surprise for me, at least, which,
I didn't really expect them to go that way with it. I at very least sort of expected him to just come back and, be the ultra smart and gamble all his knowledge back.
But instead, Tethysmon did it for him.
Which was...
I
have some notes on the ending, but...
Yeah.
Do we have any other highlights?
Not that I have written down, and nothing else is jumping to mind immediately, at least.
No, other than... God, I wish we could all forget who Annoying Friend is.
Annoying Friend? Was he in? I don't think he was in this episode, was he?
He was like the first person that Kiyoshiro couldn't remember.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I appreciate it when we treat him poorly and nothing matters as a result.
Okay, so I think that covers all of our highlights, so shall we move on to lowlights?
Yeah.
Sounds like you have some thoughts, Quinn. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I loved the idea of the knowledge game, I love the idea of gambling for knowledge, and I wish that they had put literally any effort into what I think is my favorite part of this episode, because he defined what quantum physics is poorly, and in exchange got an answer to something, and now he's an addict forever, willing to gamble away just everything.
Yeah, they could have spent some more time, showing him hitting, getting a few wins and having an impact in, more of a slow decline into intellectual bankruptcy rather than, just being, I got one right the first time, and now I'm willing to throw away everything I have.
Yeah, so, that is the thing about a gambler's fallacy, is you win,
Yeah, more than once, probably.
Enough of the time that you keep coming back. And so, yeah, I want to see more episodes more situations in which he's back at work trying to solve it, and, I don't know, his 5 bosses who watch him program around the really big screen are breathing down his neck. And so now he's gotta do the knowledge gambling.
Yeah, that was semi-ironic highlight was definitely to see Kiyoshiro at work with, his 5 bosses just kind of watching him code over his shoulder. That was really good.
Until it says success.
Yeah.
Kiyoshiro on the most
found
complicated network on Earth or something.
Yeah, he found the part where to change the words of the text and the color. And he was just, okay, set color to red, set message to success.
It was very impressive.
Color to green, you know what I mean. Anyway,
yeah. No,
I was kind of bummed also that, we clearly saw that Kiyoshiro lost a bunch of knowledge, but they didn't bother to, tell us what the questions that he got wrong were.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him actually get stumped by some interesting questions.
Yeah.
Or
Or vice versa, the questions that he thought would stump Balmon, but Balmon just knew the answer to.
Yeah, or similarly, I'd have loved to, again, going back to him, having the 7 bosses, Bob. I would have loved to see him, know how to solve a problem, and then, go, I'll finish this tomorrow, and then lose the game, and,
Not be able to solve it.
Yeah, not have actually lost something more meaningful than just can't remember that jackass's face.
Yeah. Another thing that I couldn't really it just prevented me from enjoying the episode as much, was that there were several questions when everyone else was asking Balmon questions that he really should have known the answer to.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him that, Ruli's question of where the answer was, you have to find a place with good lighting. That's kind of a stupid question.
It was a stupid, ambiguous question.
I don't fault him for not knowing that one, but the one where they asked, what is it called when two people, relay a message without either being there or whatever? The dead drop one?
Yeah.
He should have known a dead drop. He should have known, you can melt chocolate back and reform it. There was a couple ones that I just
I imagine
really
if I Googled the how to peel a potato without tools, a bottle cap would come up. Admittedly, I hadn't heard that one, but, I don't know. For the tome containing a whole bunch of knowledge, my G sure didn't seem to know how to answer, any questions. There were no smart people in this episode about the incredibly smart people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while I did overall like this episode, I can't help but be a little frustrated that it kind of once again just seems like this episode just existed to, confirm, in case you hadn't already picked up on it, that yes, Kiyoshiro explicitly can warp evolve. We get it.
Yeah.
The kids can warp evolve. Do we need a whole episode to establish this?
Yeah.
The answer is definitely no, but we got one anyway.
Yeah. I am gonna find it annoying next week. I guess I'm preemptively doing this one when it doesn't matter that Kiyoshiro was just a massive jerk to everyone in his dorm for absolutely no reason and caused them all to think that he was just high on a week-long bender.
Mm-hmm. But they'll have forgotten about it by next week.
Yeah.
Or, he'll explain, oh yeah, sorry, I was going through some stuff, and then they'll just be like, oh, okay, cool. Sounds nice, have a nice night.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even think we'll get that much. Everything will
definitely
just
not, no.
be back to normal, and it's just
everyone's going to go back to treating him with the same old respect that they always did and just completely forget about the time that he forgot who they were.
Yeah, freaked out on all of them, tried to kick them out of their dorm.
Called them all liars to their face.
And then ran off and came back and said, hey, everybody, what's up?
Yeah, it's me. I'm back. I remember you now. Also, the whole episode was about, this knowledge game thing. Why did Gamamon and Angoramon especially even evolve?
Yeah.
They didn't even fight.
They were just
asked
hanging around.
questions.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the whole, okay, so does evolution level actually correspond to maturity at all or not?
Yeah.
Because they can't have it both ways.
There were so many, interesting concepts to this episode, but where they spent their time just felt so silly, and if you want to give me an episode about a person being really smart and struggling to do something with that, you need to show me that you have even a surface-level understanding of what it means to be smart. My G just had to kind of poorly define quantum physics.
And type on a computer and make it say success.
Why did Balmon even choose him? Did the ghosts pick Kiyoshiro?
No, Balmon took it personally that some of the other kids in his class called Kiyoshiro the King of Knowledge.
Oh, right. I did forget about that.
And then I took it personally. Yeah, that also could have been a low light, now that I think about it. It's just, this whole conflict, once again, just kind of happened because of ego, and I really hated the, I don't want to turn left, so therefore I will kill these kids in this, power plant episode.
Yeah,
So I didn't really like it here either.
I wish the show cared enough about its own premise to commit to it even slightly.
Yep. But yeah, I think that covers my lowlights. Is there anything else you wanted to hit on?
Let me see. I think that's all my big ones, yeah.
Okay. Who was your favorite character, Quinn?
I think I have ultimately settled on Balmon, but I have to say the Hot Ghost Thought, second choice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hot Ghost Thought all the way for me.
Valid. Valid
She's a cutie. Actual ghost.
Yep.
Confirmed.
Has ghosty powers and can take over people's bodies and stuff. That was neat.
Can take over people. Wait, what?
She, like, forced Kiyoshiro to walk
Oh,
and
you're
stuff.
right!
Yeah, no, she
forgot
had
about
cool
that.
ghosty powers. And then later Kiyoshiro ordered her around because he was a jerk.
Yep. She was cool.
She was
I
cool.
was a fan of her. Okay, so how would you rate and rank this episode? Let's do ratings first.
I'm going with 2.5.
Okay.
I wanted to like this episode a lot, and then it just kept, like, not delivering.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought that this episode was a notch above just, perfectly average, acceptable, fine. I gave it a 3. I liked the premise. I liked the kind of neat visuals that they did in lieu of having fights. It was a fun time, even if I was kind of left with a lot of questions at the end. Specifically, why did this episode matter? What happened? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I gave it a 3. What ranking does that mean for you, Quinn?
Mine's pretty low to the bottom, 43rd. Not the worst by any means, but, lower quadrant.
Yeah. I am going to put it in 38th place under above Monster Pollen, I think. Did I say that right to air? I did. Okay, cool. Yeah, above episode 29 Monster Pollen in 38th place.
Mine, incidentally, is also right above Monster Pollen, I think. I'm looking at that wrong. Okay. Never mind.
43rd place. Above Man-Eater's Forest, below Crimson Harvest Festival.
Thank you.
I think is what you had said. Yeah, between 49 and 16.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Do we have any thoughts on the series thus far?
I'm hoping now that we've finished proving that absolutely all 3 characters did, in fact, see that scene where we got the upgrade and then they plugged in the chips. Now that we've spent 3 episodes confirming that everyone did see that happened, I'm hoping we might get a little actual plot as a treat.
Quinn stole my thought on the series. Oh, we skipped miscellaneous thoughts.
Oh, oops. Well, let's back up to the
miscellaneous thoughts. Hot Ghost thought was cool. But also, as cool as she was, why were the ghosts in this episode?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it and thought it was cool that we did a real ghosts, but
why does Balmon know how to make ghosts?
Yeah.
Did Balmon make those ghosts? He sure seems to kill
like
them.
It, considering, he just burned the tags and they got all bleh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of mentioned it in the lowlights already, but, again, even in Tethysmon's case, why bother evolving if we're just going to end it all with another knowledge gamble anyways? Like, Tethysmon did, 2 moves or so, but, what was the point of that? Is it just to establish that Kiyoshiro can warp evolve? Because, again, I feel like,
we
trust
chip
that the audience can put 1 and 1 together and realize that all of the kids can warp evolve now. They all got the same chip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, Balmon is willing to steal knowledge about things like who lives in this dorm room, but is above knowing such an unimportant knowledge as you can melt chocolate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it would have been a lot better if they just had, stuff of, Kiyoshiro at work forgetting important algorithms or something.
Yeah, just anything to convince me I would like them to convince me that Kiyoshiro has a specific job. He appears to just work for 30 corporations as a contractor or something.
That's the thing you don't understand, Quinn, is that when you have a doctorate in computer science, you can do any job.
That's fair. I mean, I am working my way there, but...
By applying algorithms...
Yep.
And
you
be
machine
better
learn
than every
their
specialist
job.
in their field because you know algorithms.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure there's an XKCD about that even.
Yep. Anywho, he also definitely has a doctorate at 15 or whatever, and then decided to move back to Japan because of his favorite Mecha Fox Girl anime.
I mean, that tracks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move to Japan, but not because of that, because of everything else about Japan.
Yeah.
And, I didn't get my doctorate at 15, nor do I especially plan to get a doctorate, but, I understand the motivation.
What can I say? I want to be Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
There you go. And my last miscellaneous thought is that, for all the time the episode spent establishing that Kiyoshiro is a genius-level brain man, He sure made a lot of stupid decisions this episode.
Yeah. He really, really did make just all the worst decisions. And also, Jellymon just had to, like, wander away for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. Which is not out of character for her. She does that pretty regularly.
True.
But it's also annoying that she does that pretty regularly. You'd think that by now she would have learned that, if I don't stick around Kiyoshiro, he gets into trouble. Mm-hmm. But whatever. Okay, so, thoughts on the series thus far. Quinn kind of stole mine, which is that just please trust your audience, Ghost Game, to understand that if one kid gets an upgrade and everyone else is in the room and gets the same physical thing that gives the upgrade, that they just all have the upgrade now. We don't need 3 episodes to establish that all 3 kids can do warp evolutions.
We even watched all 3 of their bands change when they got the chip. Like, it was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I liked this episode well enough, but, like, it didn't need to exist.
Yeah, it was fine. I guess my thought about the series so far is that I wish I cared more. Like, week to week, I just... Like, I don't want to tune in and find out what's going on this week, because there's nothing going on this week. There's just some ghost thing, I guess.
Well, with the exception of the preview for next week actually looks like it could be
That's
plotty.
true, that's true.
Yeah.
Hero does seem to have some demon horns growing out of his head, and that looked pretty sick.
Yeah, we saw Clockmon in the preview. It looks like the idiot Digimon that I hate.
Yeah.
What the hell is his name?
Fleshlightmon.
Stop.
Tengamon. I don't remember it, it doesn't
Dang
matter.
it. The one we're talking about. Looked like he was, like, getting evil or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is what we were time traveling to way back when I thought the show had a plot.
Wait, time traveling?
Remember was it Clockmon or somebody who, no, it was Piccolomon, who went to the future and came back and was good because of how impressed, they were with Gamamon in the future or whatever?
Maybe.
I will riot if we don't actually have that, thing that we fast-forwarded to way back.
Oh, I guarantee that
thing.
we won't. I guarantee you we won't.
You're probably right, but I'm still gonna be mad about it.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like we saw plot looking things happening.
Yeah.
Which seems cool. Next week with the future site is just Liar Satsuki Can See Death, by the way, which is a manga that is vaguely gay and also violent and gory, so don't read it unless you are down for that, but it's decent.
Yeah. Not my style, but Chloe's into it. So, there you go.
I don't know if I'd say I'm into it.
Okay. Has read it.
It's it's fine.
Really selling people on this thing.
I wasn't trying to sell them on it. I'm just saying it's a very similar premise.
That's true.
What if you could, see corpses a day before people die or something? Anyway, yeah. Next episode is called Second Sight, which I forgot to say.
Yeah.
But it seems cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hope that it'll actually be plot, like it kind of looks like it will.
It sure looks like it should be, and I hope that they aren't just plot teasing us.
Yeah. How many episodes are supposed to be left of Ghost Game? Do we have any idea?
No idea.
Don't know. They probably don't know either.
They may not. I think 60 is the previous record, and we're sure coming right up on that at 53.
Huh. Wait, how many episodes of Ventricolon were there? I thought there were like 90 something.
Nah, there were like 55, maybe?
Really? I don't remember now. We gotta look this up.
Yeah.
You tell me they don't have number of episodes up here? What the fuck?
They have a list of episodes.
They're
they're
not numbered?
They're not numbered. Anyway,
Whatever.
this doesn't matter.
We'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else to say about this episode.
Yep. Night all.
Bye.
Bye.
And now back to little ol' me with the discussion. So in terms of my highlights, I found that the animation was pretty great in this episode. It actually looked pretty incredible with the use of colours, as well as the use of shadows. It really added to this kind of creepy atmosphere. Like, I was a big fan of that. And of course, we finally got and it was real ghosts. I'm a big fan of that. I like how we got sort of similar in Werewolf, but it was different enough that I kind of like it. So, that's definitely a plus. I'm really glad they finally did that. I know that as I said, we got in Werewolf, we had Manticoremon eating Legend, but how can the Legend be real? It's just about the werewolves kind of thing. And this one was more like those were just possibly just straight up ghosts. And I like that. It felt unique, and it wasn't just redoing the werewolf one. It felt a step in a different direction, and it's one that I've kind of wanted from the series. We also had the Kiyoshiro wanting to have more knowledge and kind of succumbing to that addiction of, like, gambling, basically. Because he is gambling for more knowledge, and he's losing it. But the idea of getting more knowledge, even if it just means getting back a little bit of what is lost, he still wants to do it. And it's really kind of a sad look, and it feels kind of realistic in terms of him being a character. And the overall episode felt well paced. We didn't have any, oh, it's a Digimon episode, so we have to have a battle. We just went to like a pop quiz instead, and that felt kind of unique. In terms of my lowlights, I'm not a big fan about how the episode just exists to show that we can have warp evolution. We could have just had that in one episode. I don't know why it had to be 3, and that's kind of annoying. And overall, the episode did have a lot of great ideas, but there's still something about it that just fell kind of flat. It did pretty well, but I don't know, there's just a few things that just felt like it's missing. It's just missing a certain oomph. It felt very just like... It felt like they wrote an idea, and then they made the episode, but they didn't really flesh out the idea. They didn't really put any extras in. It's kind of like, I'm gonna go make a sandwich right now, but I'm just gonna put butter in, and maybe a little bit of salt. But it's still missing a little bit of flesh. It's still called a sandwich, and I'm still gonna eat it, and it's still going to give me some energy, but it's not... It's just missing something. Like, maybe I could put, like, a bit of salami in. And even then, like, maybe if I have just a sandwich with salami and butter and a bit of salt, I might want to... I could have added some cheese or something. There's always something you can add to it. And I just felt like this was pretty much just, like, at, like, a baseline of just, like, yeah, it's fine. But it just felt like it was missing a few extra bits. But overall, it was fine. It did its thing. It had to show us that warp evolution exists. In terms of favourite character, I love the fact that we got Balmon again. I love Balmon. He fits pretty well as a Wizardmon to Beelzemon, kind of like in between evolution, slotting in that perfect stage there. I love him. I think it's a great design. Always happy to see a Balmon. And I was also surprised that it was Balmon. I thought it'd be Wisemon because of the book and because knowledge. So I was kind of happy to be surprised that we got a Digimon I wasn't expecting. That was pretty cool. In terms of rating out of 5, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It could have been a 2.5, but it would have been, but it was just annoying to have that, oh, it's the mandatory warp evolution kind of thing. Honestly, this episode probably could have been even better if nobody evolved, because there was no real point to evolve. We could have just had just the quiz, and Jellymon could have asked the question. Yes, she did try to ask a question before, but it was one that we had Balmon already know, because he already had that information from Kiyoshiro. They could have just saved Jellymon for the end, and nothing would have changed. It didn't really make sense for Thetismon. There was like a 5-second of her doing a battle, but more or less it was more just the pop quiz aspect. I honestly feel like it could have been better if the evolutions didn't happen and this was just kind of doing that like game show thing. That would have done really well. Oh, and a bit of a quick highlight before I get into the ranking. So I like how Ruli just keeps on trying to beat Digimon and the Mod of the Week at their own game. We had similar in the Piedmon episode. She just plays that chance game with him. And now this episode, she straight away says, hey, Balmon, I'm going to challenge you to this quiz. It just felt like, I love how she's always like kind of challenging the Digimon to a non-Digimon battle. And I dig that. I like Ruli, and I like how that's basically her character now. And I love that. She does the social media, but sometimes she just wants to 1v1 the giant demon monster. So big fan of that. But yeah, I wish the episode was more of that sort of quiz thing. And I think that's the meaty filling that I'm missing from my sandwich analogy. I just felt like that could have been more. I don't know why we had to have the Digimon Digivolve other than just the episode existed to show us that we could warp evolve. So yeah, it's a 2 because it would have been better if it just didn't have them digivolving at all. In terms of ranking, in the overall ranking, it's in 42nd place, but my own overall ranking, I have it in 45th place. Now, I don't really have any miscellaneous thoughts. I'm just happy to see Balmon, and I do love Ruli just wanting to challenge and play games with the Digimon. I feel like that could be a spin-off of just like Digimon Hunter Ruli going around and just playing games with Digimon to, I don't know, win. It'd be a cool idea. So let's move on to Postmon Pat. So we have Luke, who says they wanted to see Gulsgamon Digivolve into Regulusmon. They also wanted an English dub of Digimon Ghost Game. I'm hoping that we get an English dub of Digimon Ghost Game. I kind of hope it's got the same feeling as the Scooby-Doo cartoon, like, that I used to watch when I was a kid. Like, the old one, just be really camp and kind of funny with it. Then we have Duxio, who says they love listening to us review the episodes, but they agree, it was very on the rails episode. At least the fight scene was fun. They won't say awesome, but there was a lot of stuff hidden in the water that implied the fight was good. And yeah, and also something I forgot to mention in last week's podcast, but did physics just not exist when they were fighting underwater? Like, that's a little weird. Next we have Allison, who says that they've watched a lot of anime for children, and they've seen so much of this hidden adult jokes like these all over the place, and it's maybe kids won't get it, but a lot of adults do. That's not, like, unique to anime at all. Like, I'm not sure if you were alive in, like, the early 90s, or I guess earlier than that, like the 80s, but a lot of cartoons for children, and this is just, like, Western cartoons, like, I'm talking American and European cartoons, were just full of adult jokes. There's one in particular that I loved as a kid, but I just did not pick up on any of these jokes, and it's Rocko's Modern Life. It is full of ones that just, like, I'm not sure how any of that was allowed to air, but of course I didn't know this as a kid. There were, like, these two women living together that were called the Carpet Munchers, and they just sat around eating carpet or something like that. Rocco worked at an adult phone line. The fast food joint was called Choke Your Chicken or something. It was very, like, you know, not for kids, but it was for kids. It was a kid's show, but I watched it as a kid, and I didn't pick up on any of this until I just saw some posts about it on the internet as an adult, and I was like, oh dear. So, no, it's not exclusive to, anime for children in Japan. It's more than just that. It's not just Kodomo anime. It's just cartoons for kids. Sometimes do have naughty jokes, and they're not just kind of visual ones. They're just, like, verbal ones. So, yeah, it's not unique to Japan. I think it's just done more often, especially in, like, the 90s when I was growing up. A lot of shows did that. Next we have Narumi, who says that even though they like Ruli and Angoramon, this episode was their worst one because of the gimmick of warp evolution. They think they will stop evolving to their adult form from now on, and I guess that's something that's good about this week's episode, because we had them all evolve to their adult forms except for Jellymon, which was interesting. We had Simbara, Angoramon, and Battlegamon in this episode, so I guess we will still be getting their adult forms, and I guess that's something that time is good for. When we can't have perfect evolutions because they just run out of time, they can have adults for a bit longer. So maybe that's why. They say it's a shame because they like Simbara Angoramon and Tesla Jellymon and Calsgamamon. They like Lamortmon and is still berserk, so they hope he ends up killing a Digimon eventually because Ruli can't stop him. And yeah, honestly, I'm expecting that to happen. I feel like they've kind of, every time Lamortmon showed up, we've kind of foreshadowed that maybe what happens if Ruli's not there to say, hey, don't do a murder. Next we have Lazy Croconaw, who says that episode 52 sure happened and that's the most they can say about it. Wet Angoramon was pretty great though, and they hope next episode is something else. It was more, I think I enjoyed this week's episode more than last week's episode, but it still kind of felt the same problem of just being the same kind of formulaic of, we have warp evolution now. Next we have Bezalel, who says the human world sucks because humans live there. Yup, that's it. Next we have User ZP, who says it's kind of disappointing that the upgrade doesn't solve the time limit problem. Yeah, that's a kind of a weird one. Next we have Mystic Digital, who says maybe they're just really biased, but they like this episode. I hope you like this week's episode too, because I feel like Ruli was pretty great in it. And if I did, like, Ruli was actually, I'm going to choose Ruli for my character of the week. I'm changing my answer. My apologies yes, if for you counting at home, counting Ruli again. Or maybe, no, I'll leave it as Balmon, okay? Because Balmon probably won't be back, but Ruli, I'm pretty sure I've chosen like 10 times already. Okay, Ruli's close second, very close. Anyway, Mystic Digital says they liked most of her episode. They thought the episode was great and honestly way more exciting than last week. We had a decent fight, some graphic descriptions of gore, and Weissmon actually got taken down a notch. And yeah, that is true. That was cool. They do like Ruli and Angoramon just as they are, and they don't think they need much else. Ruli went off on her own because Hiro insisted they wait until the next day, and Ruli doesn't like listening to authority, I guess. And yeah, that's fair. And also, I guess, if you're thinking about it, if you wait an extra day, more people might get eaten, so kind of makes sense. They also say they kind of like the time limit. It makes the situation more complex and makes the horror vibe better. They consider being thrown away because remember that the VVVBBE can download update data unlike previous models. Besley also says Luminity was stronger than Disney. Then we have M, who says not to add the Triceratops discourse even more, but they want to point out that Gammon has 3 horns on his face and Triceratops literally means 3 horns. Anyways, thank you for pointing out every time we have a new upgrade type of thing, they have to dedicate 3 episodes to it before they do anything else. They did the exact thing with Canon Weissmon and it sucked. Easily their least favourite thing in an otherwise great series. And yeah, I guess the good thing about having 3 characters is we only have to do it 3 times. Imagine if it was just like Adventure Colon again, when there's 8 characters and we have to do it 8 times. And then in Adventure Colon there was like the pre-Mega Evolution episode where they got a silhouette, and then they had their actual Mega Evolution episode, and then we had to have it 8 times, so I'm glad that it's just 3. Next we have KG James, who says, having Jellymon evolve to Thasemon off screen really sums up how pointless this whole Warp Evolution showcase they're doing is. Absolutely agree. They didn't like this one either. I'd give them some credit for the pollution story. If they didn't always cop out the end and do stuff like, oh, the nice man at the company just did it, another whoopsie doopsie, let's not think too much about it. And yeah, that's what they did. Well, why do you keep doing these storylines then? They roll their eyes so hard at this world isn't for Digimon line, because yeah, things are going great for us and all the creatures actually do exist on Earth. They're all fine to choke on poison, I guess. Sorry for the rant, they know they're probably expecting too much from a kid's show, but this one bugged them for some reason. And yeah, absolutely agree, it's kind of like, gee, everyone sure is kind of understanding. Like, imagine going into a factory and said, hey, can you not pollute? Like, I mean, people do that, and companies don't care. Like, it's just, I mean, I know the show is about monsters coming out of my computer, but I honestly can't suspend my disbelief any further to just say that companies would listen to people saying, hey, maybe don't pollute. The monsters are more believable than a company doing that, honestly. And that's kind of sad. Then we have user IU, who says they can't remember right, but Kappa even love cucumbers, or just like, yeah, I think I heard that the Kappas like cucumbers, but I can't remember. Like, if you meet a Kappa, that'll save your life if you give them cucumbers. But yeah, the episode felt off. Okay, next be Kyo focused. So it's called an upgrade Warp Evolution, so it feels kind of pointless. Warp Evolution works better from Rookie to Mega. And this show kind of loses reason to be a Digimon show. If you replace the Yokai Watch or new IP theme around yokais, it's the same thing. And yeah, that's something I remember thinking when, around the same time the Yokai Watch was kind of getting popular. We had Young Hunters, which was just Yokai Watch. And then a few years later, we had Atmon, which again had the same kind of concept of Yokai Watch. It was these monsters causing weird issues in the human world that kind of had to be stopped. And that was kind of like a thing, and Ghost Game, again, is doing that same kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we do better, and we don't also follow this sort of formulaic approach of like, oh, we have an upgrade, let's watch people have it for 3 weeks straight, when it's just going to be the same thing. They got the upgrade at the same time, and Quinn and Chloe point this out. Like, yes, in the episode, we all see them get their bracelet change red, and then we have the Warp Evolution. It should kind of just have implied then and there that, yes, all the characters can do it. I don't know why we had to basically have an episode arc, like a story arc, where we're learning that the characters can do it, when it just feels kind of obvious. And in terms of predictions for the next week's episode, Digimon Ghost Game episode 54, Second Sight. So, I'm wondering if we have another, like, Gammamon breakdown or Gulas Gammamon episode kind of thing. I'm kind of hoping for it. It would be interesting. I think it's about time for us to get back onto some plot. We've all had upgraded Digivices now. The BE has released, so maybe we can get on to doing some plot, because it's episode 54. if we're going to get to maybe like 70 episodes, that still means that we've got 16 episodes left for the series. We should get a little bit more plot about these dark Digimon that are hanging out, about what the dad really is doing in the digital world, why he hasn't coming back, what else he knows. And since this episode seems to focus on future, I'm wondering if what Piccolomon saw will be relevant to me finally know what happens. And if that's the case, that's sort of like, less episodic. We're addressing something that happened in a previous episode, so that's kind of cool. Alright everyone, so thanks for listening to another podcast episode. Link dumps, link description, and you can contact us and stay updated. And you can leave us a comment on this episode on YouTube to join in on the conversation. And for a full list of ways to find the podcast across the internet, such as YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, head over to my Linktree, linktr.ee/LostinTranslationmon. If you enjoyed the podcast or videos, or even my silly little posts online, you can show your support by signing up on Patreon and get some cool rewards and help us hit some milestones. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is well before on Archive our own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Neobu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lizmet, who is Lekmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Emery from Gone While Hunting, a Hunter Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who's on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Elemis, Tropimon, and Vmon Tamer. You can also make a one donation on PayPal, which we found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/airdramon, and you can also donate to me on my Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/airdra. And that's it for another week. So if you're watching this / listening to this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I'm still trying to get 13,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's late November. It's kind of looking a little bit unlikely, but I can still try my best. So again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!